Hello, and welcome to Fleet Action Report. Man the Torpedoes! I'm Nikodas.
I'm Grebog. Still, I'm gonna keep putting that in there.
You're real Grebog.
Yep, yeah, I'm the real Grebog, or something like that. So
Yeah,
how have you
so
been, Nikodas, and how's your week been?
my week has been dominated by STO. I have spent a great deal of time on this game. As a matter of fact, I've been neglecting my Final Fantasy character this week. I didn't log in a single time. Um, I did play on the Switch a little bit with my kids, but outside of that, it's basically been STO because I wanted to get my build done for tonight's episode. And yeah, it took a lot of time and effort. There are traits, gear that I needed. I needed to level the gear, all kinds of stuff that went into it. But we'll cover that here shortly. What about you?
Um, my week's been interesting. So some unfortunate news the other day kind of threw everything out of whack. I have a fairly busy week, and so did not get the time to do all of the stuff and things. Hence, me in my standard ship and not in a torpedo build type ship. Um, yeah, so I didn't get the torpedo build done. So I will give people warning. And if you want to do some of these builds, well, yes, sometimes we are in crazy and insane and get them done in a week, maybe. Sometimes we do prep beforehand, like we don't just it doesn't take just a week. You probably will want to take some of the stuff and work at getting it one bit at a time. Don't feel like you should be able to do this in a week. Nikodas is just like really dedicated and hardcore, um,
And slightly insane.
and slightly insane. Let's see. Outside of my week. Unfortunately, a high school friend passed away. Has nothing to do with COVID or any of that. She has had a rough time since April, so it wasn't entirely unexpected, but did throw like my weekend for a loop. So there's that. Outside of, I was like, I'm trying to think of what I've done the rest of the week, and I honestly can't remember. That's how much it kind of threw me for a loop. So
I'm sorry for your loss, man.
yeah, yeah. I, I'm sad. I mean, like I said, it wasn't unexpected. I'm just one of the nicest people you could ever meet. So, um, I guess let's see. I have been distracting myself with a little Dyson Sphere program, and I finally got myself to building Dyson Sphere parts and stuff. I actually have a sphere started. I guess would be a good way to put it. It's generating power for me. So yeah, that's my week.
All right, fair enough. Um, this week in STO has been a little light again. That should maybe pick up over the next couple weeks. But there's been two major announcements. The first one is a brand new Halloween event. This is the first Halloween event that STO has really ever done. We did have a Halloween episode before, but they never really built a full event around that episode, and that would be Hearts and Minds for those who may have ran it. But this new event is called The Fall of the Old Ones. It's going to run starting Wednesday for 3 weeks. You have to have 14 days of progress to earn the rewards, which include a universal kit module, the transmuter wand, and a non-combat pet called the Old One. Um, I don't know exactly what the transmuter wand is going to be good for, but I know that it turns your target into a quote unlucky unquote black cat. There was a mention that this is an event that they intend to expand upon as the years go on. So we'll see new bits added in. In this current rendition, there's going to be a single mission. It is ground based. You're going to go into a haunted castle and have to rescue the old ones, which are an extra galactic species introduced in the original series. Apparently, they are coming back to our galaxy for whatever reason, and they get attacked by Davidians. But that's all we know. Exactly what the nature of this attack is, or how the event's going to run. They're being tight-lipped about it. We will find out, I guess, on Wednesday. And our episode next week is going to highlight that event. The other announcement they've made, I'm going to let Grebog talk about.
They announced a new ship. It's going to be a lockbox. It's another 32nd century ship. It is the Qugh-class temporal battlecruiser. It's going to be similar to if you've looked at many of the you could say Constitution, but to me, it's if you take many of the Enterprises through time of like the shows and game and stuff, it's going to be along those lines. It's kind of a variation. I think it very well fits for a Kirk style ship. It is going to have a 5-3 weapons layout, which means 5-4-3 aft. So, I mean, it is a battle cruiser, so that's not extremely shocking that it went with that layout. They have full stats and everything up on their page. It does look very much like the 32nd century stuff that we've seen in Discovery. So, of the future ones, honestly, I kind of agree. Nikodas and I talked before the show, and he said he was interested in. I was like, I kind of like the look of the ship more so than some of the other 32nd century ships they have already put out there. So I don't know that I'm going to get one because it's a lockbox ship, but maybe I'll
Yeah,
save up some EC and yeah.
yeah, I'm probably not going to get it either, but who knows? Maybe we'll get a Muds Market, 32nd century ship bundle at some point.
Sure. Or maybe we'll get another event, a year-long event where we can pick another lockbox ship, though that would still be for one person, one character in your account.
Right. But, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
So, and that's it for this week in STO. Our primary target today, we got to this really quick, but that's probably good because we got a lot of information to share. Our primary target and only target is about the torpedo boats. As you can see, I am currently flying around in the Amarie-class blockade runner Escort. I decked this ship out for this episode. I've also worked on the Tamir. So I'll get into combat here in a little bit and kind of show off both ships. The build and traits are almost identical between the two of them. The Tamir has a cloak, so there is one, it's battle cloak even. There is one trait that I will switch out when I switch to that ship, but otherwise, pretty much the same build. Where did you just go to? Ah, the Tamir. Gotcha.
I thought I'd show this ship, even though my ship is not built.
Well, there you go. That's what the Tamir looks like. But anyway, so we'll show that off here in a little bit. I'm going to let Grebog kind of talk us through the stuff I have listed. I'll sit here and go over stuff with you for a little bit, and then I'm going to jump into a patrol so you can kind of see the ship in action. I'll tell you, it's been fun. I don't know if I like it better than my beam overload build, but it is certainly interesting. But yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you, Grebog, so have at it.
Okay, for Starship Traits, there is a long list of many traits that you can pick up. I think the reason some of this list is so long is because there's a lot of lockbox ones. There's a lot of like Lobby or other ways of getting some of these ships. So some people keep like adding into the list on what they feel since they didn't have one another. Um, Ceaseless Momentum is one that they recommend. It comes from the Nikodas Intel Battlecruiser, which is only on the Lockbox or Exchange. So good luck with that one. Entwined Tactical Matrices. I think I actually have this one, which comes from the Gagarin or. I'm bad with pronouncing Klingon things. Qugh, Miracle Worker Battlecruiser. I'll butcher it. How's that? The entwined tactical matrices. It links your energy and torpedo firing modes together. Can be quite handy if you are doing potentially multiple, or you could use bridge officers that do both, or well, like you could have a fire at will or something like that, and it could link your fire mode for the other, like the torpedoes. Then you got the Subspatial Warheads, which comes from a Sona Intel Battlecruiser.
I didn't write that down, but that's also Lockbox Exchange.
I was like, which ones of these do you have?
Yeah, you haven't really got to any of the ones that I have yet. I have access to the Entwined, but I didn't unlock it on this character before the show.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't say where the Gagarin comes from, or the Qugh Miracle Work of Battlecruisers. Those are sea starships, so you can pick those up with real money instead of Lockbox and Prey, or the Exchange. Then you have the Assault Formation Theta. This is primarily if you're going to use Enhanced Battlecloak or any of the ships that have a Battlecloak, which comes from the legendary Talis, which also you can pick up from the C store. I believe, isn't that the legendary Romulan Captain bundle?
It is, yes.
So there you go. The things I have in my brain. She's a Predator. This comes from the newer legendary Scimitar, which I have that ship on another character. I don't think I have it unlocked on this guy. Then there's Rapid Emitting Armaments, which is from the legendary Dideridex. The Terran Goodbye, Mirror Warship Constitution. That we've said, you said was Lockbox, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah. If they're legendary, like the Dideridex and the Scimitar, those are the legendary Romulan, not the Romulan Captain, just the legendary Romulan bundle they brought out just recently. Then we have the Ruin of Our Enemies, D7 Miracle Worker, Flight Deck Cruiser. Again, that's a Lockbox or Exchange. Did that come on the D7? It's like the legendary D7.
It did not. I actually double-checked that because I have the legendary D7. That is not one that came along with it.
Huh. Okay. I figured yeah. Just got me thinking. Reverberation, the Amarie-class Smuggler's Heavy Escort.
That's also Lockbox Exchange.
Yeah. Strike from the Shadows, Shran Pilot Escort, or Mshlah Pilot Bird of Prey. Those are from the C store. I know that. Kick them while they are down. I did look for this one. I thought I had seen it somewhere, but I don't have. It comes from the Sona Command Science Vessel. So I believe it's another Lockbox ship.
That one, is that Lockbox or is it
was it an event?
Phoenix? Which one is that? Sona? Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Krenum. So that's probably Lockbox.
Universal Designs, Crossfield Science Spearhead, Refit,
Lockbox.
Lockbox, Promise of Ferocity, Endorian, or Endarian, I guess if some people you say it by the way some people do, but being an Andorian myself here.
Those, let me save you some time on this one. It's the purchasable, the C-Store pilot escorts. There's one for the Feds, one for the Klingons, one for the Romulans, but they're all other races. So, but they're the purchasable pilot escorts.
Yeah, they have. It's what you can get the. This is from the Allied Pilot Escort Mega Bundle. Well, you don't have to get them all that way, but you know. Yeah. All right, where was I? The onboard dilithium recrystallizer, which comes from the Angel's Wake lockbox. In exchange, it is just a trait that you can get, I believe, from that.
I do have that. That was a purchasable one. I do have it.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to get a ship to get this. Sometimes they give us just a space trait that comes out of the lockbox, so I might actually have that on this guy. I actually do. Onboard dilithium recrystallizer. It's an interesting ability. 10% bonus damage per non-weapon power subsystem. Yeah. The way I have powers hit max all the time. Then there's critical systems or improved critical systems, which comes from the temporal agent recruit. That is one of the rewards as you do some of the challenges for the temporal recruit. With the transponder, you'll first will unlock the critical systems starship trait, and then as you progress further in the same chain, will get the improved version. And that is kind of cool that they put that in there. I know there's another trait, but that one's not one that we need. And then there's the unconventional tactics, which is from the strategist specialization. You first get it as unconventional tactics, and then you get the improved version once you max out the strategist specialization. So, and then sniper comes from the Tamir, which I guess I should have shown when I was in the ship, but
I've got it pulled up. I actually have that one.
And then piercing projectiles comes from the newest ship, the Appalachia Blockade Runner Escort.
So I am using out of the ones you named, I've got Sniper, improved critical systems, onboard dilithium recrystallizer, the new one, the piercing projectiles, and then I have weapon system synergy, which actually is not on our list, but it gives when you're using energy weapons, which I have one of, you get a boost to projectile damage, and then standoff, which was just a filler until I get one of the others.
Cool.
All right, so while you move on to the space traits here, I'm going to jump into a patrol so we can get some excitement going on here.
Space traits. Which one did you go to?
Argala, my usual go-to.
I'll fly with. All right, so space traits. There's all kinds of them, and you can, yeah. See, I'll just sit back and watch while you're blowing everything up. A good day to die. This comes from a lockbox or from the exchange. Though do note it is a tactical only. You cannot use it on engineering or science captains. So, and if I remember correctly, this is one that allows one of your default abilities for your tactical. You can use it all the time versus only below 35% or something like that.
Yes.
Then fleet coordinator. that is just one that we get. Everybody gets it. So then we have Inspirational Leader.
50% damage bonus. You can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah. Inspirational Leader is a good one. This one I actually have. But, basically, it increases your skills from using... Yeah, increase skills from using bridge officer abilities. It's a good one to have to... Intelligence Attaché, that's another lockbox or exchange. You can... When you're looking on the exchange, you can just type in typically the name of the trait and it should come up. It will be in a prize... Well, it'll be in a pack of some type. Kinetic Precision, that is a torpedo R&D. You have to get it to 15 to be able to unlock. So you got to get your R&D for projectiles up to 15. Self-modulating fire is another lockbox and exchange one. Terran targeting systems, another lockbox or exchange. See, again, the reason some of these lists is so long, and all this stuff is going to be in the show notes when I put it up on YouTube, because there's no way I expect you. I don't think you're gonna want to write notes and stuff like that while listening to the.
We do that with all of our shows, by the way, for any new viewers we may have picked up. These shows get posted on YouTube, and the notes are always under the show.
So, unconventional systems, another lockbox and exchange trait there. Anchored, that one everyone gets, so you don't have to worry about that. That's a good one to have. That's for basically not moving as much, correct?
Which one?
Anchored. The
Yes.
less you move, the more damage you do.
Yes. You get a bonus when you sit still for 5 seconds or something.
I mean, if you're doing a torpedo boat, you kind of will be sitting still. And as you can see here, he really doesn't need me here. I'm not really focusing on anything I'm doing. And he's still blowing everything up. Resonating payload exchange. This is for mines. I believe if you're going to put mines on your aft, then this would be something you'd want. It comes from the lockbox or exchange. The projectile training. This is it's an innate one, but to get the superior version, you'll need a fleet that has the superior traits unlocked at K13, and then you can just go purchase it with some of the fleet stuff that you have unlocked from participating and adding stuff to the fleet. Let's see here. Adaptive offense, another lockbox exchange. Context for kings, that's another lockbox exchange. The Boimler effect. Now, there's some controversy with this one. It's in the lobby. It's 200 lobby. And the reason there's controversy is because there are some people that are calling it a cheat
mode.
Yeah, it's cheat mode because it's fairly powerful. I mean, they will probably... I don't know if they've nerfed it yet, but there's speculation that it will be nerfed. Essentially, you get currently at 17.5% chance to recover the recharge time of all other bridge officer abilities up to their shared category cooldowns. So when you're using bridge officer abilities, that's what triggers it. And every time you use one, there's a 17.5% chance. Yeah. So some people think the percentage is too high and the recovery is too high. So that's where it's a cheat mode. For 200 Globy, though, I mean, anyone can pretty much pick it up without too much problem. I mean, you do have to find ways to get Globy, which typically is opening lockboxes and having bad luck because you get 5 to 10 Globy per lockbox, so you would have to open up a fair number to get to 200. The Maquis tactics. This is needed if you're going to use the trait She's a Predator, and that one comes from Lockbox and Exchange. Then there's Infiltrator, which is also needed with the She's a Predator, and that one's a Reman only. So you need to be a Reman to use that. That's all of the space traits. For space reputation, this should be things that you should be able to unlock once you get your reputations going, and get them high enough. So Omega Kinetic Shearing, that obviously would be coming from the, Task Force Omega. You can look at all of their traits here. Well, but they have them color coded for their reputations. Then there's Torpedo Pre-Fire Sequence. Tyler's Duality, Advanced Targeting Systems, and Precision.
It's a little weird that the information I found, there was no variation on these. Like, it's these 5 and nothing else for torpedo builds. There are some other space reputation traits that boost torpedoes or deal with torpedoes, but everything I read online said these are the 5 that you want.
Yeah. I mean, Precision seems to be one of the common ones throughout many builds, so... and obviously, if you want, you'll want to eventually get to rank 2 for these, which is just getting to the tier 6 of the reputation unlocked. So it just takes time. Duty officers.
Before you move on, I switched ships and I traded out the ability I needed for the assault formation Theta, since this ship has a cloaking device. So that's the trade I wanted to switch into.
Cool.
That's it. I'm just explaining why I did that.
So you're going to want to have at least 1 critical hit projectile weapons duty officer and 1 critical damage projectile weapons duty officer. And you should be able to see where Nikodas is in his list. If you don't know how to set up duty officers for active duty, it's not too hard. You have the active space, active ground, and then, yeah. But I think we covered some of that in another episode. Then you want a torpedo damage projectile weapons officer. Apparently there is a specific named one. Sartis Kret for the Fed, or Kelty Aru for the KDF.
They are a little pricey. Buying Sartis Kret cost me 80 million energy credits.
Oof. Then there's 27 of 47. That's quite a name that helps you figure out exactly who you need.
Yeah, and that one was priced at close to 400 million, so I did not grab him.
And then 38 of 47, which is a concentrate firepower, apparently.
Yeah, it's I didn't explain that real well. It's if you're using concentrate fire, that one is suggested. It boosts that ability further.
Then there's the emergency con officer, which you can pick up in the Phoenix store, and then there 3 aux to bat technicians if using aux to bat. A a lot of the guides I read about torpedo builds said don't and don't do aux to bat if you're doing torpedo builds. I mean, the way the amount of don't do aux to bat for torpedo was very. I mean, they were very adamant about don't do it.
Yeah, I got that too. There was a couple builds that said you can do it, but it's not nearly as effective. You lose out on some of the stuff, especially the technicians or the duty officers by doing that. But yes, there is one more duty officer that I'm using that is not in the list that I found online, and this is Brad Boimler. He adds a toxic cloud effect for torpedoes. I don't know why it wasn't on the list. Maybe Brad's newer than what I found, but he wasn't on any of the list. But I like him. I like the little DOT that he adds to the torpedoes. So he's popped in here, and then I've got Beckett Mariner as filler for those who are looking, because I don't have any of these others yet.
Well, and I imagine he is on the Lobby store. Or no.
He was a giveaway.
We got him free. We all got well. You might still be able to claim him. I don't know.
He's in the duty officer list down at the bottom. Lower decks duty officers.
Yeah.
All right. So
you're
going to go into weapons. And I'm going to go blow more stuff up. Let's do... because I need to show off this ship. Let me find... let's just do here in the Kinbar. Yeah, let's just do Kinbar. That's fine.
All right, 4 weapons. Enhanced Biomolecular Photon Torpedo Launcher. This is 8472 Counter Command Reputation. The Delphic Distortion Torpedo, which is Lobi. And then Neutronic Torpedo Launcher, which is Delta Reputation. I noticed a lot of the stuff you can do via Reputation, which is kind of where I was running out of time. I don't have the time to get all the marks. Then you have the Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo Launcher. It's the Discovery Reputation. Let's see. An optional was a dual overcharged Delphic Beam Bank for the 2-piece with the torpedo. It is also for the Lobi store. I saw this several times. Basically, one reason was if you're struggling to get enough torpedoes, you might as well go with that 2-piece set because it is a decent set. Aft weapons or either other weapons. You get the morphogenic torpedo launcher. Don't fire it. Yeah. You only want it for the 2-piece. Its fire rate is extremely slow, if I remember correctly.
It is, yes.
And that's why they say don't fire it. It's not worth it. Which is kind of funny. But then you get the omnidirectional, the morphogenic omnidirectional beam, which you put in the aft slot.
And that one you can fire.
Yes, and that one you fire. And those both come from the episode Home.
Yeah, which I had to end up running 3 times because you need both weapons and the console. But we'll get to the console here in a little bit.
There are some people that run mines on the aft also, so that's why. So here's a few of those. You have typically most people only run one set of mine laying devices. So you got the Thoron infused Quantum, which come from Delta Rep. There's Tetrion mines. There's Black Op mines, which is that a lockbox thing or?
The Black Ops mines, I'm not running mines. I just listed them because I found them online, but I'm
Yeah.
not using them.
And biomolecular photon mines. I'd probably, because it's a rep and easy to get a hold of, I would probably eventually just, if you're going to run mines aft, I would just grab the ones from the Delta rep. That's probably going to be your easiest bet. Consoles. Essentially, for your engineering and science, you just use universals. I mean, that's pretty much the way it goes for most ships nowadays.
Yeah, because they cover a lot of the same survivability that straight, consoles would give you. A lot of
Um,
engineering consoles give you resistances, and science give you shields, and most of the universals cover that anyway.
all right. For tactical, though, they want you to go for the Lorca console. Lorca custom fire controls. It comes from the Discovery reputation. I have that on my Tamir. Uh, it's actually a pretty good console. It's been recommended in other builds as well. Even if you aren't going with a torpedo build, I would highly recommend picking it up just to fill us. I mean, it's not a bad console to have.
Here, I
Uh,
can highlight that real quick. I have it right here. So it boosts crit chance, weapon power setting, and then gives you a bunch of shield pen. It's the shield pen that is most important on a torpedo build.
oh, your favorite. Don't get hit by the mines or the
I actually
artillery.
feel, since I'm hitting them with torpedoes, I'm actually feeling like I'm getting some revenge here.
All right. Also, there's the morphogenic console. This is for the 3-piece of the morphogenic set. You need to basically run home for the 3rd time to get it. So, and then there's obviously for tactical, you'll want vulnerability locators, which comes from the fleet spires. So you just need your fleet to have unlocked those from the spire, which, depending upon your fleet level, depends on how likely that is, but I'm sure you could probably find, if you don't have a fleet, you could probably find a fleet that will help you get them. Now into the universals. There's so many universals. And of course, on the top of the list is the DPRM, or the Dynamic Power Redistribution Module. And the reason I say, of course, on top is it's the meta console. No matter what DPS build you are going for, it is recommended for pretty much everything. It is why in the year-long event, I actually went and picked up the Atlas prototype Dreadnought Cruiser, which comes from a lockbox, or you can get it on the exchange. But that's why I used my purchase from the big event to get the ship it comes on. So I actually have it. It's gives an all damage resistance rating, and it gives you a large directed energy weapon damage, which is why beams and cannons you like it. Torpedo likes it because of the bonuses it gives for the from the console, which is plus 40% damage while above, 80% hull, but also plus 100% bonus damage resistance rating. Plus, it's a good survivability, and it increases your damage. So there's also, I saw recommended, this one comes from Terran Reputation, is the Ferrofluid Hydraulic Assembly, which I think I started making, but I don't have enough stuff to finish it, so this one is a pretty good one for the torpedo set. Then there's Bioneural Infusion Circuits, which comes from the Lobi store. Temporal Disentanglement Suite, which comes from the episode Butterfly. So Then we have the phased space membrane, which is the Grissom light science vessel. There's the Swarmer matrix, which is a lockbox or exchange one. So you can find that. You probably would, if you have the credits, always look on the exchange. It might not be terribly priced, but typically if they're in these build lists, they are going to be millions of credits. The Point Defense Bombardment Warhead, which comes from the NX Escort Refit. Then you have the Tricobalt Tear Launcher, which comes in the new ship of the Appalachia Blockade Runner Escort. Kind of figured it would start making those lists for because the Steam Runner, the updated Steam Runner, I figured the trait and the console were going to make these lists.
I mean, to be fair, this console, it gives you a flat 19% bonus to mine and torpedo damage and gives you almost 50 points of shield pen. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you go with the history of the ship, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
True enough.
And then we have the ominous device. It is very ominous. Which comes on the legendary D7, legendary Talus, legendary Constitution, Constitution Temporal Light Cruiser, D7 Temporal Battlecruiser, the Talus Temporal Warbird. I mean, apparently it comes pretty much on every ship but the ones that you might be flying.
I put that whole list in there. That console gives you a flat 20% boost to all damage. So it's kind of good on all builds, and it does come on several different ships. So
it's so ominous. It comes on lots of ships. Then we have the Ordnance Accelerator, which is a Gamma reputation. So not a bad setup. There's a fair number, not too terribly hard to pick up in that list. But then there's always a lot of, hey, lockbox or exchange.
Do you mind if I step in here for this next part?
Go for it.
All right, so we're going to cover some BOF abilities here. Now, I'm going to show you what I'm using. A lot of these are not on the list. But for the specialist ability, what you're really looking for is the command seating. And you want to use this Concentrate Firepower 3. It marks a foe, and when that person or that ship is damaged by torpedoes, it gives you a 20% bonus to kinetic damage with a 100% shield pen. This is the must-have ability for torpedo builds. If you are also on a ship that has access to Miracle Worker seating, you can also use Mixed Armaments Synergy. That has to deal with when you're firing different types of weapons, and then it gives a boost to everything depending on all the different types that you're using. So both of those are good to have. And then in tactical, you want the absolute highest you can get for high yield. And I was kind of playing around with it between high yield and spread. I like spread, which sounds really kinky when I say it that way. But anyway.
You had to go there.
Somebody was going to go there. I've discovered just while playing around with it why they want high yield over the torpedo spread. And that has to do with the primary torpedo you're using, which is the enhanced biomolecular. Under high yield, that becomes a destructible torpedo that does an AoE effect anyway. And it's actually really powerful. So you could see me in those fights there, especially that last one. A large group would come in, I'd fire a green torpedo, and they'd all blow up. That's what I was firing. So that's what you're looking for there. And then this says you want fire at will 1 or 2 if you're using a beam, or scatter volley 1 or 2 if you have a cannon or turret. And then, of course, the chemosite-laced weaponry is a must-have, which is this one here. It enhances all your weapons that allows them to deal extra radiation damage. Now, the other stuff, I didn't put anything down for science or engineering because you've got some leeway here. If you are on a more science-oriented ship, you can actually add some space magic in here and deal with, some exotic damage or anomalies to kind of pull your enemies in together. I know Gravity Well is popular. A good Gravity Well mixed with a torpedo spread can be devastating. So there's that option. I am not running a whole lot, so I went with a more standard layout for my sciences here. I've got Polarized Hull, Science Team, and Hazard Emitters, just for some extra survivability. I did very much the same thing for my engineering. Here again, you've got some options. You can run emergency powered engines to give you some more speed. I just went with kind of a standard. I've got reverse shield polarity. This is actually supposed to be emergency powered shields, and then that's supposed to be engineering team. So just kind of a standard layout to, again, boost survivability a little bit. That's all I've got as far as the buff abilities go. And it's taken us almost the whole hour. You want to talk about the fleet for a minute?
Sure.
While I fix my build that I just messed up?
Way to break it.
Right?
So the fleet we have completed and on the colony, the infrastructure tier 4. It is done. I know we were getting close before it finally, the massive timer finally clicked down all the way to 0, and so we're back to working towards the tier 5 for it. We're the fleet's moving quite well. I'm actually excited to see where we are with the starbase, because looking at like the military tier 4, we are, if we were to get everything completed every day for the next 2 months, it would be done. Actually, it'd be done before that. However, I understand that well, yes, we have everyone that's contributing and whatnot. We don't always get them triggered every day. So, I mean, but we still, it's, that goalpost is visible, is basically what I'm saying. Before, I couldn't even tell you how long it would take. Now it's like we can see it coming. I'm getting excited for the future of the fleet with that, because it's going to unlock some awesome stuff for people. I know there are people that are wanting some of the fleet ships. Of course, maybe they've forgotten by now, but if you were wanting some of these fleet ships, it would give us the ability to pick them up. So, yeah, fleet's doing amazing.
We are doing really good, although we still need help Klingon side.
Klingon site, we're making some progress on the dilithium mine. Not as, I mean, since it's not our primary, obviously it's not going to move as quickly, which is fine. Just don't expect it to move as fast as the Fed fleet is moving. If you do want to join our fleets, just you can contact Nikodas or at Real Grebog in game. You can send us a in-game mail, or you can find us on Discord. We are in the AIE Discord, which is, to get there, easiest is aie-guild.org. And there's a link there to join the Discord. There's an STO channel, and we even have a Fleet Action Report community channel there too, so that way we can talk about things. When we try to plan for some of our, like we would like to do some ground TFOs sometimes. We're going to need probably 3 people to help us do the grounds TFOs, because otherwise we're going to be waiting in queues for a while. And yeah, if we have 5 people, we can just bang them out and show people what these ground TFOs are like.
Oh, that popped right away. You mind running that with me?
Sure. All right.
Before we get into this, so I went ahead and queued us for this, partly because it's the daily for the event that I need to get done, and partly because it'll show off this ship again for the viewers, and I want to do that. But before we get too much into that, I want to show here, I do not have my torpedoes on auto fire. I have my energy weapons, except for the one torpedo that I don't want to fire. The energy stuff is on auto fire, but the torpedoes are not. That is on purpose. I like having the extra control. That was something I read about doing for a torpedo build, and it really does help. It gives you more control over which torpedo you fire with, like the high yield or the spread. So you can put them on auto fire, but I kind of like it without.
I read a lot of people recommending to on your keybind bars to set up your torpedoes, because otherwise you can't fully take advantage of high yield or the spread properly. Yeah, because otherwise you're gonna willy-nilly fire whichever torpedo, and it may be not the best torpedo for the fire or the torpedo spread, or because you probably will want your slower, I would imagine, the slowest torpedo with the highest damage to be your high yield. I could be wrong.
Well, mostly they just want, everything I read was just about the biomolecular photon. So anytime you punch one of your power ups, you want to fire that photon. Um, the dark matter is okay to use with the high yield, but mostly it's there for the free torpedoes with the 2-piece set with Lorca's fire controls. And then the Delphic torpedo is also good as a spread. So if you're going to hit spread, you might want to wait to see if you can get that Delphic distortion. Although the biomolecular is okay, so it gives you that option as well. Wow, space magic kind of took that whole fleet out.
Space magic. Yeah, I'll work on that. I don't know how soon I'll be ready.
That's going to have to be the next thing we do.
I was like, my science captain is one that I have neglected, so my science captain has been like, hey, come play with me, and I'm like, I mean, you're cool and all.
I don't know what to say to that. So while we finish this up here, we got to get some of these here. There's one. I'll go over here. Again, next week there's a new event starting, and we've been trying to use our show to cover the events. So next week's show is going to be all about saving the old ones. We will, if you want to come with us for that, we will be happy to have people along. It is a TFO. It is a ground TFO even.
Maybe I will get my science captain's ground build up enough I can feel confident to run him. Maybe that'll be my goal. Because he needs to start getting marks, and the best way to get marks are these events. Which means I need to go back to our notes for the ground builds.
Hey, I've done that a lot, actually. The ground build that we came up with was amazing.
I will have to look at what the tweaks would be for a science ground build. Because I know we mainly did engineering. I think we both did kind of engineering, but we did talk about some tactical stuff and some science stuff.
I have got builds done on other characters now. That's been a lot of fun. Oh, I got tractored. We can't have that.
I'm closing portals.
I noticed. You got all of them.
I do what I can.
We'll get our bonus points for that. Speaking of, since we're in this TFO here, let me go on a tear here for a second.
Uh-oh.
So don't be afraid to do the bonus objectives. That's where you're going to get your points from. That's where you get your extra marks from. That's really what makes this all worthwhile. I had a conversation on Facebook the other day with a person who seemed to think that the only way to do this TFO, the one that we're in, was to concentrate everybody's attack on the opposing starbase and ignore defending Deep Space Nine, ignore getting the portals, ignore all the optional objectives, and just go straight for the DPS. And he and I had a rather heated debate on the subject. But I'm like, yes, it is doable. You can complete the optional objectives. That's kind of the point of the game. And to me, I kind of like the additional challenge. Plus, if you run on higher difficulties, especially if you get all the way to Elite, on Elite, those are not optional. You have to get them done or you fail. So it's good practice, even if you aren't quite there yet. But hey, that being said, if I'm in a group with somebody and they want to focus entirely on taking out the space station, I'm cool with that. I'll be the one that runs the stuff and takes care of the optionals. But if nobody else is doing the optionals, then I'll do that. Although usually Grebog, in this particular case, Grebog's usually the one that will run the assault teams.
I don't know. Some of the reasons I do it is because it's part of the story. I mean, how are we really assaulting them if we aren't taking the assault teams over? Sure, we get more points and whatnot. Plus, yeah, it's an added challenge. Plus,
but it's also realism.
It adds to the story. I'm a weird nerd. I get it.
Oh, we're doing good. Okay.
Yeah, we have two people. It looks like hanging back, and I'm blowing everyone up or helping blow people up when I come back. I think our space wizard is hanging around. Space wizard.
Well, it's space magic. I'm trying to assimilate
DS9?
more.
Oh, Tarek, yeah. If you can assimilate the enemy, yeah. I think it would bug you.
Oh, yeah. So that's something else I was going to talk about that we haven't done yet. You mentioned the history of the ship, which is the steam runner. So the reason the devs in STO decided to make this a torpedo boat, and the trait and console and experimental weapon all support that, is because of another game. Back in, what was that? The late 90s, early 2000s, there was
the old days.
Right. There was a game that came out called Star Trek Armada, and it's a strategy game. It was a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time playing that back in college. So did Grebog, even if he doesn't want to admit it.
Real-time strategy is the genre of game type it was in.
Correct. But the Steam Runner was in that as a torpedo boat. It was the Federation's long-range artillery, and it basically fired tricobalt torpedoes. So that's why this ship is the way it is. That being said, they actually did pretty good with it, I think. I'm having a lot of fun flying it.
Well,
plus the console here is a tricobalt tear launcher, to again go along with that same theme.
And they kind of brought it into the game when Steam, when Star Trek Online opted to let Steam have a copy of the game essentially, and be able to sell. They were like, "Oh, here, we'll give you guys, Steam a special package, and we will bring in a Steamrunner-class ship, which, came from Armada.
Steam.
Yeah. So and that's why the console that came on the Tier 5 ship was it's called Team Fortress, essentially, is the ability that you get to use. And it gives your entire team a shield. So, I mean, sure, they had a little fun putting, some of the stuff into the game. But, it was also cool to see the Steam Runner from Armada get brought in, too. And the Steam Runner in Armada was all it did. It was your artillery, essentially, for the Federation. Each faction had their different types of ships, and for the Federation's artillery type was the Steam Runner, and it just shot torpedoes. It could shoot further than it could see, which was kind of impressive and fun to play with. And also, it could get you in some severe trouble.
We got about a minute and a half here before we finish this TFO, so we're probably going to run over the 10 o'clock time by 10 o'clock. I don't know what I'm thinking. The midnight time here just a little bit, but let's finish this up before we move on. Or close out. You know what I mean.
Close out?
End the show. Clothesline our viewers.
No, we're nice to the viewers. We appreciate them watching and putting up with our weird antics.
Indeed.
Oh no, face the wrath of the Terran Empire. I'm shaking in my boots.
That was 150,000 crit I just hit. That was fun.
So we're up to 11 deployed teams. I say we're doing well.
Yeah, 11's decent.
I'm about to hit 12.
I'm just trying to blow up. We got 8 seconds.
Beaming them down. Oh, there we go.
I love how the Discovery torpedo disintegrates enemy ships. That just floors me. Alright, so here we go. Yeah, 5 seconds before we get big ships.
And if you don't have some big cooldowns, don't get threat on all of them. Remember.
Yeah.
This is when I just let people start firing before I do fire at will. Oh, I think nope, that's the subspace mod. Yeah. Do. I was like, I might have Team Fortress on this ship. Nope. That's another ability.
And we got them all.
Well,
that was really fast. I'll go with some fleet marks.
I need some discovery if I'm going to do a torpedo or something.
All right, so once again, next week, the new Halloween event, Fall of the Old Ones. If you're interested, I did some background reading on the old ones just to remind myself where they came from. I almost want to go watch the episode. So it's one of the early. I didn't write down the name of it. I don't remember. It's one of the early ones in TOS. They get pulled into this creepy, scary castle and have to deal with extra galactic aliens that apparently have magic. Like actual magic. It sounded really interesting. But yeah, look up, go to the wiki Memory Alpha or Memory Beta and look up the old ones. It was kind of interesting. But until then, as always, see you out there.
Live long and prosper.